What's up? Tonville Legend 826 here. I'm going to be reviewing the 14th episode of Season 10, which is called, Look at the Flowers. Now, if you don't know what Look at the Flowers means, that's what Carol said to Lizzie back in Season 4, back when everyone got separated because the governor, attacked the base, attacked the prison, and Herschel got killed, and everyone had got separated, and, Lizzie and Tyrese ended up with the kids. Lizzie and Mike, I think her name was? Yeah, so anyways, yeah, Lizzie ended up killing the other girl, and then she said, Carol, please don't be mad at me, or something like that, and then Carol told her to look at the flowers, and then when her back was turned, Carol killed her. So yeah, this is a reference to that episode, and ironically enough, Lizzie was killed, I think, in the 14th episode of Season 4, and this is the 14th episode of Season 10, so that's a pretty interesting fact right there. So anyways, this starts off, right after Negan killed Alpha in episode 12. Alright, and there was a flashback showing how Carol allowed Negan to escape. Negan was in prison because of what happened to Margot, and everyone was wondering who let Negan out. And then, it wasn't Lydia, but then, it was revealed that Carol was the one who let him out, because they had a deal, apparently, according to the flashback. Carol told Negan that even though his transgressions would not be forgotten, because, killing Glenn and Abraham was that's pretty much something that a lot of Walking Dead fans still hold a grudge against him. Granted, he's probably the most popular villain right now, thanks to his actions against the Whisperers, thanks to his efforts. But however, people are still going to dislike him because of what he did to Glenn and Abraham back in Season 7. Even though that was, in the Walking Dead universe, that was 8 years ago, But murder is still murder. That's pretty much the one thing that's pretty much no one can really forget about, unfortunately. And it's awful and everything, but he brought that upon himself. But anyways, that's in the past. Gotta move on. So anyways, Carol tells Negan that maybe he can gain the trust of the entire Alexandrian community if he kills Alpha. Because if he kills Alpha, that'll earn him a lot of respect. Regardless of what he did in the past, at least that is deserving of some respect. I think even Glenn and Abraham would admit that even that has to be worthy of some honor at least. Maybe even Rick would say the same thing. But anyways, continuing with the plot line, Negan did the deed. He killed Alpha. He got her to fall into his trap, and then he executed her. With the gruesome fashion. But it's the quickest way to get rid of someone. Plus, she kind of deserved it. It's kind of what I think it's the same thing she did to Lydia, to Tammy, to Enid, to Rodney, to Henry. All the Pike victims. I think they all had their throats cut that way. They never show the deaths explicitly, but I think we can all assume that's how it was committed. So anyways, Carol, puts Alpha's head on the spike, and then Negan tells her that he committed his part of the deal. He fulfilled this part of the agreement. Now she has to do her end. But then Carol said it takes some time, because Negan, it took him some time to kill Alpha, although you can't really blame Negan. He couldn't just run in there and just kill her all of a sudden. It would just look too suspicious. He had to earn their trust and make it look like he was on their side. So then, therefore, he told Carol that, So he told Carol that, it took him some time, but then Carol doesn't seem to care about that. She says she'll take some time where she heads back to Alexandria, which kind of a selfish thing to do. I get that you're pissed because Alpha killed your son and all that, but you gotta give Negan credit for what he did, okay? Alpha would not be dead if it wasn't for Negan, because Negan was the one at the end of the day who killed him. Her. True, Carol was the one who concocted the plan, but Negan still did it. You have to give him credit there. So anyways, Carol decides to head off into the woods. We keep seeing hallucinations of Alpha there, even though we know Alpha is dead. She's not really there, but Carol is hallucinating her, so that's why she keeps appearing in the background, haunting her, And at the same time, Negan, ends up running into Daryl, because Daryl didn't know about Carol's plan, So Negan tries to explain to Daryl that he killed Alpha and that he had to tie up Lydia to prevent her from escaping and getting in the way. He did it for her own safety. So Negan told Daryl all that, and he was going to apologize to Lydia, but Lydia escaped. Because the last episode she found out that she was completely in the middle of nowhere. So Negan told that to Daryl, but Daryl wouldn't listen, of course. Obviously, he's too bitter about what happened, because after all, in Season 7, Negan killed Glenn and Abraham. He had Daryl as a hostage, listening to that song, Easy Street. Oh, that song was just torturous, bro. That was, probably the songs that little children would want to listen to, not grown men or teenagers. It would just be too torturous. So anyways, Daryl ties Negan up, restrains him, binds him so that, he can't escape. And then he probably guides him to somewhere, I don't know, maybe back to Alexandria. Negan tries to explain, of course, but Daryl, of course, won't hear of it. And at the same time, we're looking back into Alexandria, I think, or is it Hilltop? Yeah, I think it's Hilltop, where everybody's reunited after the whole battle with the Whisperers, and Magna returns safely. They find out that she's alive, and then Eugene announces to the entire group about his conversations with Stephanie. I can't really say I blame him. I mean, Eugene's kind of a loner in the group. You know, after what happened with the Saviors back in season 7 and 8, you know, him being a double agent, you know, joining Negan's side. Of course, everybody is kind of bitter about that. You know, but can you blame the guy for wanting to have someone to talk to? You know, he's got a lot of intellect, he's got brains, and it's sad that he can't just use that talent for his own well-being here. It could be of great use here if people just give him a chance. But anyways, Eugene says he's going to go out to meet Stephanie, and everyone tries to talk him out of it, saying it could be dangerous, but then Ezekiel says let's hear him out. Let's at least give him a chance, you know, because this might be a good thing if someone else knows, like someone else can offer them some assistance, this Stephanie person. So Ezekiel, Yumiko, I think her name was, yeah, the Japanese girl, Yumiko, Ezekiel, and, Eugene, of course. Eugene, all three of them decide to head out to find this person, and that in the place. And meanwhile, Carol is still having flashbacks, you know, I mean, not flashbacks, I mean hallucinations of Alpha, you know, taunting her and teasing her and all that. You know, we all know how that's turning out. You know, she keeps taunting her, saying that she couldn't help any of the kids that died, any of the people that died. She keeps mentioning names like Sophia. And of course, Alpha never met Sophia, you know, or Lizzie. So obviously, this is obviously a hallucination. This is not the real Alpha, by the way. But I already said that before. And anyways, we also have Beta, who finds Alpha's head on the pike. They should have at least stabbed the head or something. You know, they could have at least stabbed the head to prevent it from biting anybody else. But anyways, Beta finds the head. You know, and he immediately proceeds to get one of the fellow Whisperers to get bitten by the head. You know, get bitten by Alpha. You know, and obviously if you get bit, you're going to die at the end, regardless of what happens. You know, and then you'll turn into a walker. So then he brings Alpha's head, and, you know, the other Whisperer that's there with him immediately flees the scene for his own safety. So Beta gets that Whisperer. He stabs that Whisperer and gets him with one of the walkers. You know, stabs them both. Then he goes inside of a house and starts damaging stuff in anger. Obviously, out of frustration and fury, starts throwing stuff on the ground, smashes a guitar on the floor, you know, and then he stabs Alpha's head, you know, finally at the end of the episode, you know, obviously going to prepare all the forces of the Whisperers to go up against the people. Because even though Alpha is dead, the Whisperers are still out there, and Beta is still out there. He's still leading the pack, you know. As they say, he's the new Alpha. You know, and Beta obviously didn't like that for some reason, even though he should be honored to be the new leader. And in any case, Negan and Daryl are both walking when all of a sudden 3 Whisperers confront them, and then they all say that Daryl is the new Alpha because he killed Alpha, you know. And Negan tries to go along, like tries to set up like some kind of a show, like some kind of pretend thing, like he has Daryl tied up, and then it looks like he's gonna execute Daryl. But then Negan takes one of the shotguns. Instead of killing Daryl, he ends up killing the Whisperers, because I think it was all obvious that Negan was on their side. Even though he really could kill Daryl just for accusing him falsely. At the same time, however, Negan, of course, if he kills Daryl, they're just going to kill him at that point. So, of course, he kills the Alexandrian people, by the way, when I'm saying there, you know. So, anyways, Negan and Daryl both team up to kill the remaining Whisperers, and Negan unties Daryl. Then Daryl tells Negan that I think there's some kind of a mutual partnership might be forming. Like maybe they'll have some kind of a compromise. Granted, they can't ever have a friendship, you know, you just can't be friends with someone who murdered your friends, you know. I mean, I know it was 8 years ago in the storyline, but there's still some old wounds that are just never going to completely heal. But at least you can see some kind of a partnership for them. At least they'll be on good terms. At least they can at least work together as, you know, co-workers, you know, if the world wasn't in an apocalypse, you know. But they can be working together at the very least. So Carol manages to escape, and there's a walker that confronts her when she gets trapped under that shed or whatever it was. A bunch of stuff fell on her, but she manages to escape safely, you know, thankfully. And then at the end of the episode, we have Eugene, Yumiko, and Ezekiel walking through that city where they were supposed to meet that person. All of a sudden, this person, Juanita Sanchez, appears, you know, also known as Princess, appears. I think she was in the comics. Yeah, so this could be something interesting to watch. I really came to see what the next episode is going to be like, you know. And that's what I thought about the episode of Season 10, Episode 14 of The Walking Dead. You know, truly a good episode in my opinion, you know. Glad to see that Negan might finally get his redemption moment. People will finally see him as a hero, or at least respect him at least a little bit. You know, after all the hate that he's been getting the last 8 years for his actions, at least people are going to see him as a good guy, not some nefarious murderer, you know. But those are my thoughts. Hopefully Negan can redeem himself. Or he's already redeemed himself. I'm saying he should finally hope he can finally get respect. And at the same time, maybe the war between the Whisperers might end at the end of season 10, or maybe it'll go on to season 11. Who knows? The coronavirus is like delaying production of TV shows, all TV shows. So I mean, it might be some time before season 11 premieres, and even the last episode got postponed. So we may never know. But those are my thoughts about season 10, episode 14 of The Walking Dead. Look at the flowers. Okay, but those are my thoughts. Tonville Legend 826 out.